Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Real United States video blog. I'm your host Paul Campbell, and behind the camera there as always is my wife and camera operator Beverly Campbell. And welcome to the continuing series on Small Business America. Now today we're in rural Michigan here at Western's Tree Farm. I figured because of the season this would be a good time to come to a tree farm. This is where agriculture meets retail sales. Now the Western family has been here for over 60 years. They're in the third generation of owning this business. And this tree farm, this is what they do. They grow Christmas trees, firs, spruce, pine, for sale this 1 month of the year from just before Thanksgiving here in the United States until just before Christmas, that they sell to people to cut and take home to decorate for their Christmas holidays in their homes. Now they've got about 200 acres of trees here. We're gonna go in, we're gonna look at some of the other things they've got here. They've got a small store, and they do some baling here and whatnot. We want to show you a little bit about, again, this small business, this family-owned, multi-generation business again, and how they earn at least a portion of their living from this particular way of doing business. So we hope you enjoy this, what we have to show you, and join us as we go in and see Western's Tree Farm. Now before we go indoors, I wanted to take this opportunity to show you that although this is a Christmas tree farm where they raise and cut and sell Christmas trees, they also have other things going here. They have a small store here that sells Christmas ornaments and things like that, and wreaths, and those are part of the business that they conduct here. So I just thought this was such a beautiful little building that I wanted to share it with you. The gentleman who runs this, who's part of the family, his father actually built this building. These are built with logs that were grown right here on the farm. The white pine logs that were hand milled, and to build this building, which is now a store. Oh, joining us now here is Scott Western. He's the owner-operator here at Western Tree Farm. And Scott, it's nice of you to join us. Thank you for this opportunity.
Yeah, thank you.
And you were saying that your father built this cabin.
Yeah, me and my dad. It took us 2.5 years, and the trees that are behind you, behind the camera right now, are the original trees that my dad and my grandfather planted on the farm. Every tree on this farm we planted as a family.
Right.
And the business started as a wholesale, but now we've turned over to a retail business, a choose and cut tree farm. But that's what the cabin was built out of, is the first trees that were ever planted.
Right. Now, one of the things our viewers may not know is the white pine, the Pinus strobus, for my botanist friends out there, actually is the Michigan state tree. So that is our state's state tree.
Yeah.
So we're going to step indoors now because it's getting kind of bitter cold out here. So come on along and join us, and we're going to show you inside. Okay, so we've moved indoors to get away, from the cold, and we're here again with Scott Western and Charlotte Western, his mother, who's first generation of the farm. Second generation. Okay, so we got 3 generations over 60 years, as I was saying, that this tree farm has been in operation in the family, in the Western family, and that this cabin, of course, was built by Charlotte's husband in 1993.
Yeah, 93.
93 out of our state tree, the white pine. So now they've begun to grow this business. Scott, you were telling me that it's been larger and smaller. And
yeah, at one time we had 500 acres, but that was too much for the family to manage, so we've cut it back to about 200 acres in production right now of Christmas trees and stuff like that. So, but we started out as a wholesale. We've turned it into a retail, choose and cut. We supply, now that we do the retail, we supply a lot of the area with wreaths and roping. We don't do wholesale Christmas trees like we used to, but we do wholesale garland, wreaths, roping, that kind of stuff. And there's another building out back that will show you that here shortly. But we started out in a simple little shed, but as the business grew, Dad knew we needed to do something more. So it took us 2.5 years to build this building here, and it opened in '93.
Took down 175 trees.
Yeah, 175 trees to build it. Dad kind of, it took him a year or two, but he had the plans all in his head. So a lot of things in here has been collected by the family over the years, but it's really opened up only 5 weeks, 6 weeks out of the year. The rest of the time it sits here as a shed. We kind of close it down.
Yeah.
Paul?
Now, one of the things that I really want to make an issue of, because I thought it was so important, was the fact that as a small business, they do have a number of employees, a small number of employees, but these are local people. These are the local community that works here. And also that the local community supplies some of the objects you'll see here in the store.
Right.
The local craftsmen. So it also supports the economy in that way. I want to make this issue again that I've made in previous episodes about how important small business is to the American economy. That it drives over half of all sales in the United States. And this is why, because of the people you employ and the craftsmen who you also support by selling their products, right?
Correct. We also try to help out the local community. We allow the local Lions Club to come in and to use the back part of the cabin here, we'll show you shortly, as their big fundraiser for the year. They get to sell hot dogs and hot chocolate and whatnot to the clientele as they come in to warm up after being out in the field selecting their trees. So we try to give back to the community however we can.
We help support them this way, and they help us by taking that responsibility off of our shoulders, so we don't have to worry about the refreshments then.
Lions Club International is a nationwide organization. It's a charitable organization, and that is largely their thrust is training assistance dogs, leader dogs, seeing eye dogs for the blind. Wonderful organization, been around a long time, does a lot of good throughout the country, and so the Westerns have graciously all given back to them by allowing them to use this facility to sell refreshments, to raise funds, again, to give back to the community. And I just think that's really such a wonderful, nice thing.
The other thing, usually in the fall of the year, there's, by Farm Bureau, they put on what's called Project Red, which is rural development. They bring in, I believe it's 4th grade kids from all the local school districts, and I go there and represent the Christmas tree industry. But basically what it is it's held at the local fairgrounds, and the kids go around and they learn about all the different industries and the farms that are here in Michigan. So that's something else that we try to do to help out and educate the local community by participating in Project Red with Farm Bureau.
And then we were talking earlier that this is a farm. This is where agriculture meets retail.
Yes.
It's not a nursery. This is a farm. And like most agricultural products, you have a season that's relatively short when you harvest.
Right.
So you could think of it just like any other produce or any other agricultural crop, the sugar beets that we talked about in a previous episode, where you have a relatively short window of opportunity to sell your product for the entire year, even though your product doesn't necessarily all come in 1 year.
Correct. Yeah, it can take us up to 15 years to grow certain varieties of trees. But yeah, we're very unique. We're one of the farms where you come to us to harvest our product that we grow.
Instead of it being harvested shipped out, this you actually come to the farm and essentially harvest your own product.
Yes.
And you've got 7, 8, 10 different species of trees.
All of that. Yeah, sometimes it's hard to keep track, but probably more than that. We not only grow Christmas trees, but we have maples and other things too, because in the springtime we dig them so people can plant them in your yard.
All right, yeah.
That's the other part of what we do.
And one of the things that's different this year for us at Christmas, here in the northern United States, is that the species of trees that grow for Christmas trees are very different than what they have in the few Christmas trees that are in the southern United States. In the southern United States.
Right. A lot of what we grow on the farm is not native of Michigan. Like the Fraser really is more native of the Carolinas and that. But to make sure that we can supply the clientele with you might want to say supply and demand, we've learned to adapt some other species from various states and making more product available to the client.
Right, yeah, so, here in the north, and I'm sure that many of you around the world who live in the high latitudes know, spruce is very common in the northern latitudes.
Yes.
And certain species of pines. The pines that they grow on Christmas tree farms in the southern United States, in Florida and Georgia and over in Texas and whatnot, different species, perhaps southern yellow pine or something like that, it wouldn't thrive up here, and the trees we have would not thrive down there. So that's why when Scott was talking about the wholesale business at one point in the business's career, that they would cut the trees, bale them, which we'll show you in a little bit, put them on trucks and ship them to the southern United States, where they could be retailed this time of year. because those species were that people wanted but weren't available in that part of the country.
Correct, yes, exactly.
The other thing we might just tell too is that on certain weekends, like our 2 busiest weekends, we do have hay rides and Santa comes to visit us too.
Yeah, they do. I've seen the pictures on their website. That I'm going to have a link below, by the way, in the description. So be sure and check out the Western Tree Farms website. That they have a horse-drawn hay rides.
Yeah,
which
like this year here it's going to be a little hard. It's they're getting harder and harder to find.
Right. Yeah. Many people that do even offer them anymore that offer hay rides or wagon rides. Many times they're pulled by a tractor.
Yeah. Which we do have that. Yeah.
Finding ones drawn by horses is very rare, and I think that's really great that it's still available here in the United States, where you can go and you can actually go on a horse-drawn wagon ride.
Right.
Okay, we've stepped out here into the back of this store cabin building where the Lions Club International actually has access to use this to sell refreshments during this time of the year, and you can see their banner back here. They've got their kitchen set up. This is where customers, guests that come into the tree farm can also stop, get a bite to eat, something to drink, some local baked goods.
Yeah, local. This is all local baked goods and everything done by the Lions Club.
Right.
They use an old antique stove for heating up the hot dogs and hot chocolate and stuff like that.
Yeah, this is a classic, another classic piece of Americana here. This stove is probably from the 1920s.
Yeah,
yeah.
It's things that have been collected through the family over antiques or whatever. But on the back side of this area here too is also where Santa sits. We have a tree set up there so that families can Santa's not here this week. He's busy making toys.
Right.
You know.
Right.
So, but that's where he gets to sit to meet the kids and get their wish list and stuff like that. So.
Now, one of the really charming things about this place is that this is very classic Americana.
Yeah.
We have a wood stove here with the split wood firewood here burning to keep the place warm. This is how the building, this room at least, is heated.
Yeah.
There's a fireplace on the other side that you probably saw in the previous shot, and so it creates a whole atmosphere about.
We try to not get commercialized.
Right.
We want to keep it more family. We're driven for the family. The help that we have is a lot of just part-time people that come in on a weekend or whatever, but we're here to assist.
Right.
We're not here to guide you for various things. We're here to help you, be with your tree when you pick it out and stuff like that, and just provide you an atmosphere that you can enjoy the day with your family. That's what this building's all about.
And I think you're starting to see a theme like that in about the small business in America.
Yeah.
The business people are very service oriented. This is not like going into a super center. This is not like going to some ginormous mall. That the small businesses are very attentive to their customer base, their clientele, and able to give them a more personal level of service than what you're going to find in a huge mall. Now, one of the things that Charlie just mentioned was that another one of the things that they make here are grave blankets.
Yes.
Now, I don't know if these are popular in other parts of the country. Maybe you can leave me a comment below and tell me. But here in the United States, during this time of year, many people opt to purchase what's called a grave blanket. It's a decorative piece of spruce. It's decorated nice to put on the grave of your loved ones. Now, if you've seen the previous episode on the American Cemetery, you have some idea of what the cemetery looks like, and people go to visit their loved ones this time of year quite frequently, and they will take these as a decoration and a remembrance of their loved ones that have passed.
Dad sold the landscaping part of the business back in the mid-'80s. They moved up here semi-retired in the mid-'80s and basically just do what we're doing now, and we've slowly been building.
Yeah, and again, I said this in the previous episode, in the first episode of Small Business America. Yeah, people who own small businesses don't typically retire. I mean, we keep going until we basically drop. And so you pass it down, you include the family, but you don't ever really stop being a part of it.
That's how we go from first generation, second generation, third generation, and now we're going into the fourth generation.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, my kids will be the fourth.
And they work here on the farm.
Yeah, they work here on the farm. But you're right. My dad, last year, which he's been gone for 3 years now, This is the third season without him, but even the last year before he passed,
Right.
we would set a chair out here. He couldn't stand very well anymore, but he would still sit in his chair and try to build a gray blanket. That was his passion too. So.
Yeah.
So eventually, that's how I'm going to go. I'm gonna be able to be your host anymore, and I'll pass this on to my granddaughter. But
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. It becomes. I think small local businesses really become, whether they're very profitable or not. You know, if you're looking at trying to start up a tree farm, I tell you, don't do it.
yeah,
but it becomes a lot of family pride.
Right.
There's a lot of generation here, a lot of pride. You know, what we provided to the community, and I'd just like to see that keep continuing beyond my kids. You know, so that would be great. Just,
come along and join us. We're going to go out and see some of the other sites. Here's a piece of equipment I have never seen before in my life. I spent over 3 decades as a mechanical engineer, and I have never seen a Christmas tree shaker. And this is actually a manufactured piece of equipment, Christmas tree shaker by Howie Tree Baler Corporation. And its purpose is to shake all the loose material loose from the Christmas tree.
He's got a bad cord, and basically most of like the Howie balers, all the stuff around the crew, because we were #1, is all made here in Michigan. The planters and all of that. Okay. So.
Now that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
It just shakes all the loose material from the tree, so that when the guest gets this home, they don't have any debris. They can take it in the house, and it's nice and clean, and it's not throwing needles all over the house.
Drill it? Josh, you not gonna start drilling it?
No, not that. We'll show them the drill here.
Now this is the process where they're going to go ahead and bale the tree up so that it's compacted, it's easy to handle for the guest.
There's a lot of reasons why the tree gets wrapped. One is, yeah, it's a lot easier to handle it. The other reason is when you do wholesale, the trees don't get busted up.
Right.
By wrapping them up, it helps protect them when you put them in piles like over there.
Right.
Stuff like that. It's just kind of convenient to put it in the tree stand that way too, and then cut your strings and let it open up.
Absolutely.
But yeah, that's the main purpose of it, is so the tree doesn't itself get busted up, hauling it in and out of the door, and stuff like that. So
Yeah, having tried to haul them in without baling,
Casey.
I know how difficult that is.
So here's where we measure, and we charge by the foot.
Oh, okay.
So we measure the pole, and you see that tree there is about 7.5 feet. So we charge here on the farm, we charge by the foot. We're going to walk over here. We talked about gray blankets, Paul.
Yeah.
I'll show you the gray blankets, man. Some of them I got tarped off right now because of the wind. Stuff like that, okay? Yeah. We build 3 different sizes of the gray blanket. This being our most popular. This is a medium gray blanket.
See, and this is the blue spruce?
No, this is white spruce.
White
that we
spruce,
use.
white spruce.
It holds its needles fairly well, and it just gives a nice texture. The blue spruce is nice, but it's a little pickier than the white.
Yeah, and it also has a little bit larger needle
Yeah.
than this. So this is a very nice thing. Again, this is a great blanket that people then will take to the cemetery to.
We do 3 sizes. This is the medium size. This is a smaller one. This is the small size, or what we call a pillow. Okay.
Okay.
And then we also have the typical cemetery can.
Now these actually stand upright, right,
Yeah.
Charlie? Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. You see here, it's in a container that people they have a choice of what sort of decorations they might like to get for their loved ones for the holiday.
This is a newer one now. This has come out recently in the last few years. This is called a saddle. And what this is, I'm going to show you the underside of it. This is the foam board that everything is poked into, but with these brackets, you bend these, and then you can place this right on top of the headstone. So,
And
as
this,
a winner.
and
this,
that is fur.
that's Douglas fir.
That's Doug fir. Okay, it's not true
Nice and
fir, but
soft,
it's a Doug fir.
Yeah.
A few pine boughs in here for
Yeah.
accent.
And I'll show you one other thing that we provide for the cemetery. This is called a topiary ball, and what it is, it's just a globe which we will dig like, decorate just like that kissing ball, all right? And it's on a metal stand, and it stands like that. A lot of people will put that out in the cemetery also. So.
Cemetery cans too that we have. The cemetery cans are in a pot.
Yeah.
Okay, and they're very heavy, and they can put those on the grave. Or some people put them on their front porches. This is a tree that they can put on the grave. Okay. They put those on a special type
It's a
of
great.
stand.
Yeah. Okay. It's a grave tree, literally.
It could be on a tree, a grave. It could be at your home. This is one of the candy canes that we make, and this can be used either way too. These are called kissing balls.
Kissing balls.
Kissing balls.
Okay.
And they can put on their shepherd hooks.
This building here is very packed. Like I said, the building of all this product is it keeps growing every year for us.
Okay, now this is the building where your craftsmen work.
Yes.
They make the ropes
Yes.
and the wreaths
Right.
and
This is
many of
a
these
lot-
other
yeah,
decorations.
This is a lot
So
of
let's go in
part-time
and
help. They're
take
in
a
here
look.
for this whole process. Like I said, Christmas comes on the 25th regardless, and we try to keep everything as fresh as possible. So this is all of a 3-week process. I mean, this
Right.
you build this and you get it out the door in a matter of 3 to 4 weeks. So it's just kind of crazy.
Oh, I wish that my viewers could smell this. The aroma of pine and cedar. This is just magnificent in here. And you see some of the local craftsmen.
This is one of the 2 roping machines that we have. This makes the garland that people hang from their decks and stuff. And these ladies over here are decorating up various products. And these are the wreath machines. They make the wreaths that you see outside and stuff.
I mean, this is like a scene right out of Santa's workshop. I swear.
And in this building, when we designed this building, there's actually it's all garage doors, and that was so we could bring in and out the product easier. So on the back side of where these women are working right now is all the raw product. So they open up the garage door, they grab the raw product, which comes in bundles, like you see right here, and they take and build. And there's more bundles here. Okay, that's what they build. That's all on the back side of the building.
Right.
And that's where I said all the poundage is. And then it's carried out through that door out there to where the wholesalers or retailers will pick it up.
Okay, this is where she's making a wreath.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a group in her hand, like a little bouquet type thing. Then there are clamps in there and a machine. She puts them into the clamp.
This is the wire that she actually built the wreath on. These are the clamps. The machine will take the bowels that she just puts in.
And then she presses on
clamps
the lever,
these down.
And it claps them down.
She just moves right around.
This is something new that we have this year. This is a deer. Well, we had it last year.
These are becoming real popular.
These are very, very popular. And they come in different sizes. There's the daddy, the mama, a couple babies, and then there's a sitting one too. So I don't see the sitting, but they're probably out in a lot of that.
I think probably one of the most delightful things about this is to see all this handcrafted work going on.
Yes, and it's there. I mean, other than the machines that help you put it together,
Right.
it's all done by hand.
Right. I mean,
It's all yeah.
Now this is
It's all
being
done by hand.
decorated here. This is a hand decorated.
and even the machinery that you do use is a tool. It's not an automated machine.
No, exactly. It's just something that I mean, you can do that by hand, but once you start developing so much of the product,
Right.
you can't keep up. It's the only thing we don't have back here right now is the lady that helps us make the grave ones.
Right.
So, but
And she helps make all the decorating.
and like I said, you can see it's kind of cluttered in here, all because of we get boxes of for the decoration, box of
All the
poinsettias,
All the piece parts that go together to
yeah.
make these
boxes
wreaths
of
and these
pine
grave
cones
blankets.
for decorating grave blankets and stuff.
Right.
So all this through here. There's actually a machine here. We use these big spools of ribbon, different colors ribbon. And even though this is a machine, it looks kind of goofy in that. And Rochelle, it helps you make a bowl real quick. So
Oh,
I'll
okay.
let her show you how to make a bowl.
And these poor ladies had no idea we were going to show up and maybe doing this. So this is in real time, folks.
It's not a very complicated machine, but it does assist when you got to make some.
Might see it better over here. Might be able to see it better over here. Yeah.
I'm really gonna make your day. I'm gonna ask you to do one more when you're done because I can get close enough to start with. So she's the camera person.
Now I can remember, Paul,
Yeah.
my grandmother doing this by hand. I mean,
Oh,
my mom,
Lord.
even my mother,
Yeah.
when I was a little kid, sitting in our living room and making bows by hand all night long. You know,
Oh, wow.
My fingers are like this.
yeah. So when they came out with this simple little machine that ate and all of that,
Right.
it was like a godsend. I know my mom sure did appreciate it.
I bet.
So,
This is something that strikes very close to home for me because I was a fixture designer early in my career, and this is very reminiscent of the sort of tools that I would have designed when I was a young man.
right. So they don't look like much when she starts. You know, this is what it comes off the machine looking like, and then she
Right.
pulls it apart, and it actually creates the bow.
So again, even though that we do have a fixture to work on, a tool, it's all
It saves
handmade.
your hands.
There's no automation to this really.
Right.
It's still all handcrafted materials done by local craftsmen here that live in the area.
And while moving on back to this part of the shed here, this is the tail end of the wholesale Christmas trees right here. Back in the day, we used to ship out semi-loads. You know, now we just supply some local flower shops and stuff like
Right.
that that sell them. So this is what's left, and we'll go out before Thanksgiving on that.
This is a beautiful, beautiful place you got here.
Yeah, we get that all the time. You know, I guess that's where we're unique. You know, we're not a farm that grows corn. And
Right.
When the corn's taken off, you got a vacant field. You know, this is what really hits me home, and I talk back about that family pride and everything.
Right.
And we have from the city a lot of friends that still come up and visit us and stuff like that.
Sure,
Because this
sure.
is like a home away. It's like an old park all to yourself. you
It
know?
is. It's a bit like a park.
Yeah, it's trees and that. So basically, we do the by the foot, as you saw the measure and that. But certain varieties are so popular.
Right.
Okay, back in the day, when Michigan was the #1, was Scotch pine. Okay. These other varieties take us a little longer. All right. And,
Longer to grow.
Right. And
Right.
try to keep up with the supply and demand. There's certain varieties I do tag just to make sure I have enough supply for the next year and the year after
Okay,
that.
so you've got about 200 acres of farm here.
Yes.
And spread over maybe 10 or 12 species.
Yes.
Now, do you harvest some every year?
Correct.
I assume you also plant some
Yes.
every year.
Yes.
You go through, pull the stumps, replant new seedlings that are going to be ready then in 10 or 15 years maybe.
Yes.
Okay, so the trees you're planting now, you'll be doing in a decade and a half,
Right.
and your son and your grandson will.
Yes. Some of the trees I plant today, I probably may not. Hopefully, I'll be retired.
Yeah, right.
I might not see. I may never see come to harvest. You know,
Right.
Some of the trees that I plant now, but my son will harvest them.
So about how many acres of trees do you plant in a year?
Well, I don't do it by the acres.
Oh,
I do it by the
okay.
variety.
Right.
You know, again, it's this. I got to watch where my supply. You see, that's what's real hard about what we do, is what I plant. I have to know where the market is going to be in 5 to 7 years.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, so I plant for variety, and I can plant anywhere from 5 to 10,000 trees a year. Okay, and of the different varieties.
Right.
All right. and you know, trying to keep my crops on a good 10-year rotation. Usually a field like what's behind us here, it could take me 3 to 4 years to clear this field out. You know, when it was a wholesale, you had this cleared in 2 years.
You'd clear cut, ship,
ship,
and now they're as the guests come in, they selectively cut, and the tree may not be real attractive this year, but now you trim the trees.
Every tree gets trimmed
every year,
yes.
So that they fill out nicely, and that tree then may be more attractive to the guest the next year,
right?
Because it's had another year to fill in and grow, and so that may get harvested that year, and so the lot thins out a little here and there, and then has to be replanted.
Right. Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. And the one thing we've learned as a family, if you can move closer to some of these fir varieties, what you'll see at the ends of them are some pretty juicy buds. Okay, so at the end of the branch, you get a nice juicy bud, and the Fraser actually has a bigger one than this.
Right.
And that's full of sugar in that. So the first problem we had was with deer.
Right.
Okay, so I had to fence in 100 acres. So I got all my Frasers and all my high-end, you know, good quality trees, the fir varieties,
right,
are fenced in now. You know, that first I had to protect. My next step will be to irrigate them. If I could irrigate these trees, I can bring the growing period down into that 7 to 10 mark, 7 years to 10 years. But we're back to, you know, you still got to figure out how to plan this.
Right, right.
It's not like a corn. And here's the other one. Last year when it was so dry, you know, even though we are called out as a farm and various things, we do not get the supplements like your corn farmer and your soybean farmer.
Right.
So when we had that drought last year, I lost trees that were 3 years old and younger. I lost everything.
Just lost them entirely.
Okay, I couldn't keep enough water on them, and I don't get any subsidy from the government whatsoever on that.
Right.
So I know 10 years and down the road here, I'm going to have a big lull in what I can provide.
Right.
Okay, and that's going to hurt a lot.
And we do have huge deer populations here in the state of Michigan.
Yes.
And although I typically think of them as being corn eaters because there's so much corn grown here in Michigan and in the United States in general, but yeah, that they will come through and they will nip these off.
Yeah,
and will do some serious damage to the way the tree is going to develop in the following spring.
Probably 3 years ago, I probably had 5,000 trees, if not more, with deer damage. And what they do is they eat the bottom 5 feet of the tree, almost right back to the stump.
Right, and I mean, essentially destroying years of waiting for this crop to come to fruition.
Yes, yes. So there's quite a bit. You know, I'm going back to the whole thing of you know, where there was more you know, the Scotch pine and the deer didn't seem to bother, but now that the clientele seem to want this kind of tree, you know, there's a lot more involved in growing. There's a lot more to protect. There's a lot more expenditures than people realize to bring this to market.
Yeah, just the fencing alone must have been a minor fortune. I've seen this fencing. It's what is it, 6-7 foot high?
Yeah, it's 7 foot high.
Yeah, it's to put this into perspective for our viewers. Detroit, largest local metropolitan area. Yeah. About 600,000 people or so now. It's or just under 1 million anyway. Yeah. If you include the suburban areas around it, well over 1 million people. About 85 miles away, about an hour and a half drive. People come that far just to come here to this local business for
family experience.
For a family experience.
Yes.
Which is, like, you know, very cool. They get out of the city. Many people they don't get out of the city very often. They, you know, everything they need is there except space.
Yes, exactly, exactly. But you know,
how many trees do you suppose you have here, Scott?
Well, I'm probably on about 15 years of planting here, and I'm going to say about 10,000 a year planted, so 150 or plus.
150,000 trees.
Or better, yes.
So you can imagine the investment in money, the investment in effort, the investment in time. Yes. It's not something you just jump into.
No, exactly. And Paul, I appreciate you doing this with us and stuff, and I enjoy this with you, because one thing our industry really needs to do is educate the people of what really goes into this. I think if these trees here don't drop needles, not like they did 10 or 15 years ago, you know.
Right.
It's getting those kinds of educational bits of information out to the client that I think is very important.
I think so.
What you're doing.
We certainly appreciate you taking the time for us today.
Yes.
To share all this with us. And folks, I want to remind you, look down in the description below and check out the website for Western's Christmas Tree Farm. And if you happen to live here locally, you know, anywhere within a couple hours driving, you might want to come on over and see them. So we'd like to thank you for joining us here today on the Real United States video blog at Western's Christmas Tree Farm here in rural Michigan. We hope you've enjoyed this episode. If you haven't already, we encourage you to pick subscribe and join us for future episodes. If you have questions or comments, please leave them in the comments section below. We promise to get back to everybody as soon as we possibly can. Please share this with your friends and family. We hope you have really enjoyed this. And as always, thank you for watching.